We all remember how wild the year 2020 actually was because of the COVID pandemic, don't we? Locked inside of our homes with only streaming services and our families if we were lucky. Well, there have been a few movies that have delved into the pandemic storylines and viruses that could wipe out the world, and that's what this video is for. This movie list is going to be 10 movies that center around COVID, a global pandemic, or a deadly virus that is turning everyone into undead zombies. There won't be any spoilers, so you can watch this video and have nothing ruined for you. I will also put the movie timestamps in the description below along with any streaming services these specific movies are offered on if they are. With that out of the way, here we go. Number 10. Host. 2020. In this short hour-long Zoom-centered horror movie, 6 girlfriends get together during COVID lockdown in 2020 for their weekly Zoom call where they gossip and see how everyone is doing while in quarantine. It's Haley's turn to organize an activity, and instead of a quiz, she's arranged for a psychic medium to conduct a seance, and they're all going to participate. Bored and feeling mischievous, one chick, Gemma, decides to have some fun and invents a vicious story about a boy in her school who took himself out after being bullied. However, her prank gives license for a demonic presence to cross over into our realm, taking on the guise of the boy in Gemma's fake story. The friends begin noticing strange occurrences in their homes as the evil presence begins to make itself known, and they soon realize that they might not survive the night as they begin to get picked off one by one. If you like the Unfriended films or Paranormal Activity, you will definitely enjoy this one as the acting is believable and the chemistry between the actors works really well. Number 9. Alone. 2020. In this 2020 zombie thriller that features Teen Wolf star Tyler Posey, when a virus outbreak hits the world hard, Aiden barricades himself inside his tiny little one-bedroom apartment and starts rationing food because he doesn't know how long he's going to be locked inside there. Aiden is aware that if he goes outside, he could very well become infected too, and he's not trying to let that happen. His apartment complex is soon overrun by infected zombies, and with the world falling completely apart, he is left alone completely fighting for his survival. It is very similar to a film that will be featured later on this list, but this is the American-style version, so if you prefer English films over Korean or dubbed films, this one probably is the one you want to watch. This movie lets you see inside Aiden's mind and makes you wonder if you would be able to keep your composure under a similar situation, and if you would have the strength needed to continue alone. Definitely worth a watch. I just hope Netflix would still be functional if we had a zombie apocalypse breakout. Number 8. Sick. 2023. Sick takes place right at the peak in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Sick follows 2 best friends, Parker and Mary, who decide to go lock themselves in Parker's father's lake house in the middle of the woods and just have some good, best friend bonding time. Mary doesn't seem to care about the safety measures too much, but the main character, Parker, is adamant that they follow all of the CDC guidelines. Once they get to the lake house, everything is going fine until Parker's ex-boyfriend, DJ, shows up because he wants to win Parker's heart back. She is against him being there at first, but eventually caves in to let him stay with them for the night. Well, a masked killer then shows up at the house and stalks them all throughout the house until finally making a move and announcing his presence. With the story having twists and turns all throughout and to keep you guessing who the killer is until the very end, if you like mystery slashers or whodunits, you will definitely enjoy this movie. The movie also did a great job at giving the real quarantine feel that we all experienced right around the same time. Number 7. Carriers. 2009. In a world devastated by an avian flu pandemic, Brian, his girlfriend Bobby, his brother Danny and their friend Kate are heading to a beach where the brothers spent their childhood vacations expecting it to be a sanctuary and to be free of the virus. When their car breaks down on the road in the desert, they negotiate with a man named Frank, who is also stranded out there, but without any gas. He is trying to get his daughter Jody to the hospital as she is infected with a disease of some kind, so they all decide to travel together, as if they put their resources together, they can get to the destinations easily. During the journey, though, massive moral dilemmas arise as events head into a downward spiral for the group of travelers. The story and the characters start getting extremely dark towards the end, and by the climax of the film, you begin to think you knew absolutely nothing about the characters, and their true personalities will show when times get the toughest, as they usually do. But then again, what makes a good person different from a bad person if the good person is doing bad things for what they believe is a good reason? Number 6. I Am Legend. 2007. Robert Neville is a scientist who was unable to stop the spread of a terrible virus that was incurable and man-made to be a cure for cancer in this post-apocalyptic action thriller. Immune, Neville is now the last human survivor in what is left of New York City and quite possibly the whole world. For 3 years, Neville has faithfully sent out daily radio messages, desperate to find any other survivors who might be out there, as he is starting to feel hopeless. But he is not alone. Mutant zombie-like humans of the plague the infected lurk around all throughout the city, watching Neville's every move, waiting for him to make a fatal mistake. Perhaps mankind's last, best hope, Neville is driven by only one remaining mission: to find a way to reverse the effects of the virus using his own immune blood. But he knows he is outnumbered and quickly running out of time. For all those people that said Will Smith couldn't do serious movies or couldn't carry a movie that was just featuring him, he surely put those narratives to bed with this film. He is phenomenal in this role and makes the movie so believable. But in the end, you will be feeling all kinds of emotions, that is for sure. Number 5. The Happening. 2008. This one is a little different than a virus pandemic, you could say, but the movie still deals with something in the air that is causing people to do extremely weird things and completely changes who they are if they become infected via the air. Out of the blue, a sheer number of unprecedented and utterly unexplained incidents begin to threaten all of humanity in New York City, as a seemingly unstoppable and invisible menace alters the human behavior beyond any kind of reason. Before this mind-boggling extreme situation, the high school science teacher and family man, Elliot Moore, along with his wife, Alma, tried to comprehend the origin of the disaster as everyone, including friends and neighbors, flee the contaminated area, heading to the safety of the unknown. But no one knows what could actually be in the air that is making people turn crazy in the blink of an eye. And Moore, being a science teacher, he really wants to get to the bottom of it and figure out what could be causing all of this hysteria. This movie receives a lot of hate, and while it's not the greatest, it's still a good time if you don't take it too seriously. Number 4. #Alive. 2020. I said earlier that the 2020 film Alone was similar to a movie later on this list, and this is that entry. This movie, just like Alone, features a man that is locked up inside his apartment because he knows that a zombie outbreak, or a virus, has threatened everyone in his city. If he were to go outside, he could become infected and never be cured, so he has no choice but to stay locked up in his high-rise apartment. That is until he sees a cute girl across the street from him in another apartment, and wants to make his way over to her and ask her on a date. Hopefully, he plans on cooking dinner for her inside, because I don't think they should go to any restaurants with zombies out in the public. This is a fun movie, but it is Korean, so you would need to find the dubbed version or watch with English subtitles if you don't know Korean. Still an enjoyable movie, and I don't know why, but South Korea does zombie movies really well, and some of them are even better than ours here in the States, such as Train to Busan. Number 3. Songbird. 2020. Over 4 years of lockdown in Los Angeles, California in 2024, and COVID-23 has mutated from COVID-19 and has a 56% mortality rate. Only the few immune people left living can leave their homes. Nico, played by KJ Apa, is one of those few. He's a courier delivering packages on his bike. He has the LA streets to himself except a few checkpoints here and there. People hate him as he's immune and can move around, and they can't as they are jealous. Nico has a cute girlfriend, but all communication is over cell phones, and he's not actually allowed to spend time with her. LA's Department of Sanitation forcefully collects infected people and their non-immune household members from their homes to take them to quarantine zones. Q zones are thought of as quick death zones, and when Nico learns that the apartment building that his girlfriend lives in has been deemed a high risk, he is going to do everything in his power to make sure she doesn't get sent to a Q zone and killed. Nico will stop at nothing to save the woman he loves, even if it puts others in danger. This is more of a romance film than it is a horror film, but still deals with COVID, so thought it should go on the list. Number 2. Resident Evil. 2002. The Umbrella Corporation is a top-secret company operating from a massive underground facility known as the Hive. After a deadly virus is released into the air, resulting in the deaths of all who work there and all lab animals that were being studied, an elite squad of soldiers is sent in to shut down the Hive before the deadly virus has a chance to escape into the general population of the city. It's here that they come across Alice, played by the great Mila Jovovich, who has no memory of who or where she is and what her objective is. As they continue down into the Hive, Alice starts to regain her memory bit by bit, but they all soon discover that shutting down the Hive is the least of their worries when they learn that the human population have returned to life as vicious man-eating zombies. Based on a video game, I think the film does the game justice and really does a great job at giving that early 2000s zombie feel. Number 1. Contagion. 2011. In probably the movie most similar to what we all experienced comes the 2011 movie Contagion. They predicted the COVID virus 8 years before it happened. Just kidding, but maybe not. Anyways, soon after her return from a business trip to Hong Kong, Beth Emhoff dies from what is a flu-like virus or some other type of infection, and sadly her young son dies later the same day. Her husband Mitch, however, seems immune and the virus does not affect him one bit. Thus begins the spread of a deadly infection as he can still pass it on. For doctors and administrators at the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, several days pass before anyone realizes the extent or gravity of this new infection causing it to spread like a wildfire. They must first identify the type of virus in question and then find a means of combating it, a process that will likely take several months, as we all witnessed. As the contagion spreads to millions of people worldwide, societal order begins to break down as people panic and think their lives will soon be over. Like I said, this movie just feels all too familiar, and that's why I have it at number 1 on this list. It's like exactly what we experienced with the COVID pandemic. Well, that is it for this one, friends. Any other virus or pandemic horror movies that I forgot? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.